Hey guys, I'm back again with an update. It's been a couple of days, and the food is just about gone. Luckily there's a sink in the corner, so I don't have to worry about water. It tastes a little metally, but it hasn't made me puke, so I guess it's fine. For some reason, there's a bag of cat food in the corner too, so I guess if it comes down to it, I can eat that. Okay, now on to what you're really interested in. The little potato dude is okay. He's still a weird little guy, but I haven't had to smash him yet. I know what he eats now, but that's getting a little ahead of myself. We've come to an understanding, but it definitely took us some time to get there. The first day was definitely the worst. As I tried to find a way out of the little room, the little guy just kept screaming to be let out. The longer he screamed, the more he started to sound like a baby crying for food. I swear I could hear him through my headphones, and after they died, I was stuck with just the sound of him crying. I alternated between charging my phone and charging my earbud case, but sometimes I still was left listening to the little guy scream. He cried till about midnight, and that's when I kind of snapped. I picked up the tank, now more like a fish tank and less like a jar, and stared through the glass at him. It must have been pretty scary, because he stopped yelling and just stared back at me with his multiple eyes. He had so many. They were all over his body, and he had a little staring contest with me before I finally told him to shut up, or else I'll smash your little tank and squish you like a bug. He seemed to think about it, and when he nodded, it was like his whole body nodding. We had some silence after that as the two of us sat and made our little plans. Thought about calling campus security again, but when I tried, they just thought I was goofing. I tried to explain to them where I was and what was going on, but they just told me not to play games and hung up on me. I tried 911 too, but they said the same thing. Heck, the lady at 911 threatened to call the police if I kept calling. And I told her to go right ahead. Maybe the police could find me better than the campus security. But since they haven't broke down the door yet, I guess not. It was about 3 a.m. the next day when I finally thought to look at the tank and found him watching me. "Well, you got any ideas?" I said, making the little guy jump. He seemed to think about it, but before he could say it, I cut him off. "And don't say I let you out of the tank." "Fair enough. In that case, I have nothing to add yet." "Terrific," I said, putting my head in my hands and staring at the floor. "Have you perhaps thought about the vents or the drains?" I had, but they were all too small for me to climb into. There was a drain in the floor, but I couldn't even put a foot in there. The ventilation shaft was an idea, but most of them would be too snug. I'm kind of a beefy guy. Not muscular, but kind of fat, and getting stuck in the vent sounded like a terrible way to die without anybody realizing it. "Yeah, obviously. I'm too big to fit through those." "A problem I do not have," the creature reminded me, more than a little smugly, too. "Back to that again. And what's to stop you from just leaving me hanging once you get out?" The little dude didn't say anything for a few minutes, contemplating his next move as I Googled like a madman. I was looking for blueprints for the college online, since a place like this would have to have them filed. See, I'm not super smart when it comes to math and science and stuff, but I know a little bit about building permits and filing your blueprints with the city. If this place was built by the college, then it had to exist in the public sphere, right? After a few hours of looking with no results, I was ready to throw my phone down. I went and grabbed some kale chips out of a little fridge, munching them sullenly as I tried to come up with a plan. The little guy was back to looking at me, and I couldn't help but notice that something had changed. All the eyes on his body opened and closed, but they were never all open at once. He also looked tired, maybe even a little pale. I looked down at the bag of chips and thought again about how I might have to feed this little dude at some point. "Do you need to eat? It's been about 24 hours since Doc was here, and I don't think I've ever been here when he feeds you." The little creature pulled its lips up in a sad little smile. "You couldn't feed me what I want. I don't eat normal food, and you aren't equipped to give me what I need." Started to get a little offended. What's that supposed to mean? It looked at me, and I felt a little shudder ripple over my skin as it did. I feed on brain waves. Creative brain waves, to be precise. The doctor feeds me by just being around me like his lab assistants did. You, however, don't seem to create the same way he did. You look at your little device all the time and it makes your brainwaves taste bland and unappetizing. That's why the doctor's assistants kept getting headaches. The more they created, the more I fed. The doctor doesn't get them because his mind is like a wellspring. You, on the other hand, are incapable of nourishing me. You simply don't think the same. I sat back, not sure whether to be happy that I couldn't feed him or offended that he was saying I was too dumb. In the end, I guess I just decided to roll with it. "Well, I guess we're both stuck then. You need to eat brainwaves and I need to eat food. We can't get either here, so what do we do about it?" "Is there anything in here you can use to break open the door?" the creature asked hopefully. "Checked already. There's some lab equipment in the fridge, the table you're on, chair I'm sitting in. Other than that, not much. There's books, but none of them are going to get us out of here." I kept searching my phone for something that looked familiar in the blueprints, but it was getting frustrating. Ugh, if only I knew where we were. If I knew the name of the building, I could find the right map or tell security where to find us. "Wait, is that all you need to get us out of here?" it asked, floating close to the side of the tank so it could look at me. "Well, yeah, if I knew where we were, then I could tell security where we're stuck." "I know where we are," it said, and it sounded a little less smug and a little more sinister when it said it. I stared back at it for a few minutes, waiting for it to fill me in. It sat there for a few seconds, waiting for me to ask the question. "Well, you gonna tell me or what?" "Why should I?" it said. "If I tell you, then you'll just leave, and I'll be stuck here. What guarantee do I have that you won't just leave me once you've gained your freedom?" The little son of a bitch had me there. There would be nothing to stop me from just leaving him here to die in that tank. Without any brain waves to gobble, he'd shrivel up and die. Maybe that's what he deserved, but I just couldn't bring myself to hate him like that. Little dude had never done me wrong, and I couldn't mess up my karma by shafting him like that. "I promise that if we get that door open, I'll take you with me." "And release me?" he asked, hedging. "Dude, if you get us out of here, I'll take you to SeaWorld and release you, if that's what you want. The kale chips are going to run out soon, and if I starve, you are SOL, little bud. You might not be able to eat my brainwaves, but you can't open your tank either, or dial my cell phone with those little baby fingers. Whether we like it or not, we kind of need each other right now." The creature nodded, bumping its little head against the side of the tank. "Agreed. I will have to trust in your honor, I suppose." "Bruh, I'm chock full of honor. I've never welched on a promise, and I'm not going to start now." "Very well, then," it said with a little smile. "The building is called Rashley Laboratories. At least, that's what the assistants always thought of when they thought about it at all. One of them thought it was spooky when they walked through it to get here, and the image led me to believe that it might be abandoned." I already had the cell phone out, Googling as he finished. There was no Rashley Laboratories, but there was a R. Ashley Science Hall. It had been abandoned in the 90s after an explosion in the science wing, but the campus had never torn it down for some reason. It had been named a historic building in 2009, and while they had renovated the outside to make it prettier, the inside was pretty much untouched. Sounded like a great place for a secret lab and a covert experiment. Campus security picked up on the second ring, and I sighed when I realized it was the same guy I'd dealt with the night before. "Campus security, Officer Rob speaking. How may I help you?" "Hey, yeah, I talked to you last night before you hung up on me. I still Hey, I remember you. You still playing this game? This has got to be getting old by now. Look, just listen. We're stuck in the R. Ashley Science Hall, and I need help. There was silence as he digested that. Okay, nice try, but that building's been closed for years. Pretty sure the door's never even open. How exactly did you get in there, if you are actually stuck in there? It's hard to explain, I said, looking at the little potato dude as I thought about how to start. I got time. Let's hear the whole story, he said, pretending to be interested. To hell with it. I decided I might as well lay it all on the line. I'm sitting down here with Dr. Cranler's experiment, the one he got arrested for buying stuff to make. He pays me to sit down here and watch it at night, but the door's locked, and I need someone to let me out. The line was quiet for a few seconds. Then Officer Rob started to laugh. Wow, great story. I love the little name drop, but I'm kind of busy to be going down to an abandoned building and tromping through dust right now. Why don't you call back when... Fine, I said, deciding to take another direction. Maybe I'll just call the feds and let them know that I have a highly illegal experiment that Dr. Cranler was working on and that the college was probably helping to fund it. Then, when they ask why campus security didn't take the call, you can tell them how you thought it was a big joke and didn't look into it. That's probably going to make you look real great, buddy. There was silence for a minute, then a big sigh from Rob. Okay, kid. It's at least worth a look, I guess. Give me your cell phone number so I can call you from my security phone when I get there. You can help me find you since you're so lost. I looked at the potato dude, putting my hand over the phone as I whispered, Got any other ideas about how to find us? He looked like he was thinking before nodding and saying he could probably guide him to us. So that's where we're at now. Help seems to be on the way, and I'm updating you guys as I wait for the security dude to call back. I'll post again when I have an update, so stay tuned for more news. Wish me luck. Hopefully we make it out of here pretty soon, because one more kale chip and I might need a barf bucket. You're still here. I thought you might be. Thanks for joining me for tonight's story. If your insatiable appetite for horror knows no bounds, might I suggest one of our playlists, or one of our previous stories in the archive? There should be one appearing at the end of the story any minute now. And of course, if you're not subscribed, why not go ahead and hit that subscribe button? Maybe hit that notification bell, so you don't miss any of the spooky things that we do here. If you prefer your horror a little more analog, you can always pick up one of my books. There's a link below to my latest, and it'll take you to all the great things that I've posted on Amazon. For my book lovers in the audience, I always suggest coming on down to Patreon, so you can become part of my ghostly reader tier and get a book anytime I write one, which is usually about twice a year. Speaking of my patrons, let's go ahead and thank them, shall we? Thanks to Unicorn Hollow for being our spooky ghost contributor. Thanks to Janet and Lady Vengeance for being our spooky skeleton tier contributors. Thanks to Hi Stacy, Winter, Xaronan, Emily Coltsfoot, Stephanie Carrington, Marianne Schuler, Tyler Parker, and Jennifer Damron for being our ghostly reader tier contributors. Thanks, everyone. We just couldn't do the show without you. If you think you might like to support the show in a more monetary fashion, come on down to Patreon. I have many tiers. I'm sure you'll find one that suits you best. I always recommend the Ghostly Reader tier, since you get a signed book anytime I write one on your doorstep. But I have many tiers, and again, I'm sure you'll find one to suit you. And as always, thanks for stopping by. Dr. Plague, signing off. Have a wonderful evening.